Hey guys, Julia here. Welcome back to another video, and today we are setting up June in my Reflections bullet journal. If this is your first time checking out my Reflections journal setup, really quick, this journal is sort of like a line a day page you would typically put in a bullet journal, but for this one, well, one, I give myself a little bit more room than just a line, and two, the way I set it up gives me room to spread out for 2 whole years and be able to compare one year to the next, which I really like. So yeah, super quick explanation there before we get started. I also want to throw out there something like weird happened to the color for the first little bit of the footage. I tried to fix it in post, but hopefully it's not too distracting for you guys. I promise it gets better. But yeah, you guys know I don't like to ramble too much in these intros, so let's get this one set up. So the theme for June is actually one of those themes that didn't win in my Patreon poll for my main bullet journal this month. If you've seen that one, then you know all the choices were Belize trip centric, and I just couldn't get this cutout cave idea out of my head. So I thought, why not? Let's do caves for the Reflections bullet journal this month. Starting out on the left is the intentions page, and this one is quick and easy, just splitting the page in two for 2021 and 2022. I'm using my Zebra click art pen and Cricut fine liner for the outlines, and I thought this look sort of reminded me of, I don't know, y'all, it's like signage that you would see on a cave tour. I don't know. That was a thought, but I'm not sure if it comes across. All right, so this cover page is going to be a doozy. It's going to look like it's complicated, but it's super easy to pull off. So I'm starting off by drawing up my first cave formation, and this is just randomly placed. Then of course I'm going to fill that portion in using the darkest brown marker I have for this theme. And I'm not too worried about going outside of the lines because, well, you'll see. But now I'm just going over the left side of any dips to create a subtle shadow. This lifts the drawing off the page a bit without going into a ton of realistic detail. So now we're just going to cut out all the white space using an X-Acto knife, and although I'm trying hard to cut right up next to the marker, it's not the biggest deal ever because I can just go back in and touch up any areas of white after the fact. And you'll see I'm sort of jiggling my hand around lightly, and that's just to give the cut a bit more of a jagged look since we're going for the illusion of rocks. Okay, once I pull out our little window, we're going to move right along to the next layer and do the same thing, but using a lighter tint of brown. To get this to line up properly and to be a bit more dynamic, you want the dips and the hills of the rocks to be in different places on this layer compared to the last. So to do that, you can sort of flip back and forth and sketch accordingly, or use a sheet of tracing paper and plan that way. Once I have it all filled in, I'm cutting out my window using the same technique here with the shaky hands. And yeah, you can see how this is starting to come together, so I'm going to go ahead and go for that last layer. And here I'll be using a couple more tints of brown, getting lighter and lighter as I reach the middle. And the placement of the dips still applies here, where I'm trying to offset them compared to the other two layers in front of it. Alright, and since these last two browns are pretty close in value, I'm going to go ahead and add an outline with a darker brown to separate them out, and then add in some pretty loose shadows here. Flipping back over to the first layer, I'm adding in some metallic blue and green highlights, and I'm really happy with my decision to do this. It adds some fantasy to it, and it's just something different for highlights. And then I sort of randomly had this idea to make it sparkle even more, so I'm using this silver Pilot metallic paint pen to add in some dots. So finishing this spread off, I'm filling in this big white area with a lighter tan color, and the color here is definitely a little wonky as far as the footage, but you guys will get to see it without the crazy here in just a sec. Oh, and I'm going back over some spots of this tan and coloring in different jagged shapes to look like there's more going on in the background. And at first I wasn't going to add in the highlights to the middle layer, but then I decided to go ahead and go all out. So I'm adding in those final touches to both that middle layer and the last layer. And then of course the final touch is adding in the month June, and I wanted to keep the lettering for that one a little more playful, sort of gives me Indiana Jones rope vibes. But yeah, this is that cover spread. Looks complicated and high impact, but it's pretty darn easy to pull off. Okay, now we're getting into the entry spreads, and for these, I'm finding that it's all about the balance and really thinking about how much room I need to write just a little something about my day, but also like try to fit a good number of days on each spread. The most I've gotten on a single 2-page spread is I think 8, technically 16 if you count 2022, but there's hardly any room for anything else as far as decoration, and I definitely like to doodle. So yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is balance is key for me. So I've got my boxes set up and I'm just adding in some cave doodles down along the bottom. As you can definitely tell, I didn't use a ruler on this spread, and though it most certainly has this hand-drawn charm to it, I probably would have been happier with this one using a ruler. But I'm finishing this one off by adding a little indicator box for my mood and to write in the year. I've had my mood tracker in here since maybe March, I want to say, and I definitely think it fits better in this journal. My daily mood sort of helps prompt what I'm going to write for the day. Moving on to the next spread, this one is one of those 8-day spreads, and with this one, and really all the ones like this, I try to make the most out of the header space as far as trying to tie it into any particular theme. So with this one, I'm making the headers little rock formations. And I wasn't too happy with the contrast of the rock with the darker brown for the lettering here, so I tried to go over it with a silver pen. Didn't like that either, so I was pretty much stuck with that silver because literally nothing will write on top of this pen. Fair warning. So yeah, I was just kind of stuck with it, but totally fine. I'm not too stressed about it. I'm also going to just copy and paste the same layout on the other side over here, and we'll call this spread good. Starting off this next spread, I'm working in a large hanging rock formation in the center of the spread, and I'm also going along the bottom to sort of frame this one out. I'm going to add the usual shadows and highlights for this theme and just get all my sections laid out here without too many bounding boxes. Instead, simple lines are going to give me that same separation for this one, and that ends up giving me more room to write. This one is quick and easy as well, and with a little remixing, could be a great weekly spread for tasks. So if you've watched the June setup for my primary bullet journal, you'd know why sailboats, but why caves? So more inland Belize will only be in this area for like a couple of days, but we're going to be going on a small jungle hike to the cave tubing site, which sounds very cool. We are cave tubing. This particular tour ends with a zip line back to the starting point. I've never done any of these things, so I'm just excited for new experiences, to be honest. And again, I'll try my hardest to vlog or at least share pictures on Instagram. So, okay, so we're on to the next spread, and I'm framing this entire spread with our cave rock motif thing, and of course giving this one some metallic highlight treatments, same as the previous ones. This layout is similar to the previous one, but for this one, the left side is going to be all 2021, and then the right page will get filled in next year. After adding a metallic drop shadow to the mood box, that one's done and we're on to the last entry spread. And I really like this layout as well. It's a bit more dynamic and leaves two pretty good sized areas for doodles and in turn a chance to tie in whatever theme you got going on. So in this case, I'm adding in 2 cave scenes, and as you can see, super quick, super easy to throw in there because it's all just these organic shapes that don't have to be like a particular way. Again, I'm dressing up these little cave scenes with our same shadows and metallic highlights. And this is already my favorite entry spread of the bunch this month, but I'm going to finish it off quick and easy with my mood boxes and the headers that match the June lettering. And one more spread for the road. I like to finish these setups off with a pretty open page where I can write in highlights, paste in photos, whatever I want to sort of send off the month. For this one, I'm putting in our cave rocks with the usual embellishments, and then I'm adding in a little cave scene in the middle, knowing that it's gonna get covered up with the edge of a photo or something like that. This just serves as like a decorative backdrop for whatever I decide goes here. Once I have the usual final touches for this one, that's gonna do it for this setup. We're about to get into the flip through, but definitely let me know what you guys think of this one down in the comments. If you decide to recreate it, definitely give me a shout on Instagram so I can share it. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe, like the video if you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, guys. The next one is a brand new bullet journal setup, and I'll see you there. And if you like this video, here are a couple more I think you would enjoy.